You know what I'm saying? I was born in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And being born in the 80s, you know, I feel like our values in the 80s were more traditional. You know what I'm saying? We had more traditional values. Meaning you did what you said and you said what you mean. You know what I'm saying? You do what you say and you say what you mean. So you're not gonna open your mouth and say some shit and then not do it, because back in them days you would have looked like a real fuck nigga for not doing what it is that you said you was gonna do. Now you had little segments of society where the rules were different, like Hollywood crowd, you know, that let's do lunch, baby, bub, whatever, and then shit like that don't happen. You had little segments of society where you ain't have to stand on your word as much. But back up in the 80s, you know, when I was born and that type of shit like that, in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, before all this social media shit got going on, you really had to stand on your word. You really had to mean what you say and say what you mean. You know what I'm saying? That was really the vibe in those days. You know what I'm saying? But just like diapers change, okay? Just like socks change, just like dirty drawers change, okay? Society changes. And sometimes it changes for the better and sometimes it changes for the worse. Now, as far as whether this is a change for the better or the worse, is always going to be subjective, of course. Of course it is. There's no way it wouldn't be. It's always going to be subjective. But of course, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I got this. That's what this whole thing is about. My opinion, goddamn. In my opinion, I believe that it's changed for the worse. You know what I'm saying? Because if I can't take your word for it, then I guess I just have to do my due diligence and really do my research and find out whether I'm dealing with a fuck nigga or not, whether I'm dealing with somebody who mean what they say or not. So that's pretty much what the fuck is going on right now. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what's going on right now. We dealing with an era where you don't necessarily have, it's not even cool to say what you mean. It's actually more cool to say things that you don't mean. It's actually more cool to not mean what you say. It's actually more cool to just flat out fucking lie and then just make the lie be entertaining. It's actually more cool for shit like that, rather than to stand on your word, rather than to say what you mean and mean what you say and do what you say and these type of things. Because, you know, the eras are always going to impact the fighters, because the fighters grow up in the eras. And if we're in an era where you don't necessarily have to stand on your word, and it's more of a likable thing to not stand on your word, to just talk pure bullshit and to just let that shit just ride out, then you're going to have fighters who do that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have fighters who do that. Now, here's the thing. As boxing fans, it's our job to call out fighters that do that. Call out the bullshit when we see it. You know what I'm saying? Because the last thing that we need as fans is being promised a product and not being served the product that we're promised. You know what I'm saying? We need exactly what the fuck we need. You know what I'm saying? We need exactly what the fuck we need. So if you say you're going to fight somebody, if you say you're going to do this, if you say you're going to do that, then bitch, you need to do it. That's pretty much what the fuck is going on right now. Manny Pacquiao came into the stage. He came into the game at a stage where we were going to get Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis. Okay. He came into the game, threw his hat into the ring and said, hey, Ryan, why fight Gervonta when you can fight me? You know what I'm saying? He did some old bullshit like that. So what happened? Ryan Garcia pulled out of the fight and decided to fight Manny Pacquiao because he thought that was the fight that was going to happen. Okay. We watched that whole thing, that whole ugly, nasty fucking thing unfold, and it was the most disgusting, despicable thing that I've ever laid my eye on. Manny Pacquiao wasted about 2-3 weeks of everybody's fucking time and then decided he wasn't going to fight Ryan Garcia. We don't even fully know what the fuck happened in this situation. We still to this day don't know what the fuck happened in that situation. Why are we not getting Ryan Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao? Did Manny Pacquiao at any point have any intention of fighting Ryan Garcia? And if he did, why did he? Ryan is a lightweight. Ryan is somebody who doesn't even have a belt, has never had a belt, and at the rate that he going, probably will never get a belt. Why the fuck did Manny Pacquiao go out of his way to fight Ryan Garcia? Well, I kind of have the answer. Ryan Garcia has 8 million followers on Instagram, thus making him a star in the A side. Even though he doesn't have any of the pay-per-views or anything to back up any of that bullshit that he's saying, that was what was perceived by Manny Pacquiao. So I'm wondering if Manny Pacquiao looked at the mock numbers, because they always run simulations on these things, looked at it and said, well, I don't see myself making the kind of money that I should make. And also, they just stripped me of my WBA super title. So I'm not really fucking with this no more. Maybe that's the decision that he came to. I'm not sure. All I know is right now, Manny Pacquiao and Randy Garcia is no longer happening. And us as boxing fans, not only do we not get Manny and Ryan, but we also don't get Tank and Ryan. So we just lost out on 2 fights in one, almost like a little bitch ass sale at Publix or something. So all I can really attribute this to, all I can really say is, I don't believe that Manny ever had any intention of fighting Ryan Garcia. I don't believe that he did. I believe that Manny is probably taking a page out of Floyd Mayweather's book and trying to gain attention from the public for whatever his next perceived fight would be with whoever. That's what it looks like to me. Now, here's the thing. I do have some faith in Manny that he's going to fight someone, because he did fight Keith Thurman before that. He fought Keith Thurman. Was it a full power Keith Thurman? No. Was it a vulnerable Keith Thurman? Yes. But he fought Keith Thurman. Prior to that, he fought Adrian Broner. Is Adrian Broner a showstopper? No. Is Adrian Broner a world beater? No. But he fought Adrian Broner, and I think most people would agree that an Adrian Broner and a Keith Thurman fight at welterweight is a credible fight, because Adrian Broner did at one point have a belt in the division. Okay, he did have that WBA belt. Okay, so cool, fine, right? But where do we stand now with this situation? Where do we go from here as fight fans? What's happening now? Now we're looking at Manny Pacquiao possibly in negotiations with Terrence Crawford for a fight, which I'd be happy as hell if that actually was the case, but it's very tough for me to believe that that's going to happen. It's very tough for me to believe that that's going to happen. What is Manny Pacquiao's motive for wanting to fight Terrence Crawford? Is he looking to test himself? Does he want to see if he still has it? Is it some sort of retribution and he's trying to get maybe from losing to Mayweather? Maybe he feels like this is the second coming of Mayweather and he wants to test himself or redeem himself in some sort of way from Mayweather. Is that what the fuck is going on? Because I really need to understand what's going on with Manny Pacquiao. If he was looking for big money, the right path probably would have been a Ryan Garcia. Possibly. We still don't fully know that, but if we're just talking about money, that may have been the path to go down if you're Manny Pacquiao. But if you're looking to test yourself, if you're looking to prove that you're the best, if you're looking for redemption from a Mayweather loss, and you're looking to fight someone who gives you that same sort of tension that a Mayweather would have given you before a fight, then Terrence Crawford would be the answer. But also, you do have Errol Spence also at welterweight, who has 2 belts, who you could beat, and probably get equal to or as much recognition as a Terrence Crawford. As Manny Pacquiao at this point is willing to put out anything as long as it's going to get him the attention that he wants in order to promote his next fight, whatever his next fight is going to be. Honestly, Manny Pacquiao may fucking just out of the blue decide to just fight anybody, somebody, and surprise us all and fight goddamn Khabib, you know what I mean, from UFC. We don't know what the fuck is going on in that whole situation. So that's kind of where we're at with this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that it's a shame that right now Manny Pacquiao is just ruining the sport. He's ruining fights, potential matchups that could be made, fights that could be happening. People, because they perceive that they may be, they think that they may be getting an opportunity for a Pacquiao fight, throwing fights to the side. And I think that's just terrible for the sport right now. You know what I mean? It's just terrible for the sport right now. So that's where we at. That is where we at. You know what I'm saying? I think it's messed up when Manny tries to bring up fights, when he tries to talk about fights that he has no intention of fighting. Like, to me, it would be the ultimate disrespect, it would be the ultimate spit in the face if Manny Pacquiao ended up not fighting Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford or Ryan Garcia. If he ended up fighting somebody like Mikey Garcia, I think that would be the ultimate spit in the face to all boxing fans. You know, because all these dudes could have been in different fights. They could have been handling different situations, but they're waiting on Manny Pacquiao, which they shouldn't be waiting on Manny Pacquiao. They really shouldn't be waiting on Manny Pacquiao, but they are waiting on Manny Pacquiao, especially when Manny Pacquiao says that there's a possibility of a fight happening, and they're trying to put fights together, and it's just not happening because Manny decides last minute that he's going to go in a different direction. Which at the end of the day, it probably was never last minute. He probably had no intention of ever fucking actually fighting.